right. All right. We are here with Drew Gordon. Man, thanks so much for coming and being part of our class.
Oh yeah, no problem, Brian. No problem at
Yeah.
all.
Awesome. Well, okay. So talk to me here. You have a full-time job. You work for a healthcare supply company called Vizient Incorporated, but you started a side hustle kind of business, something on the side, and it's called Constant Springs, and it's a financial help to people. What is it, and why did you start it?
Yeah, that's right. I was following this formula. I first of all, I'm from Jamaica, and I came to the U.S. basically because I got opportunity to, and America is one of the greatest places in the world to live. But then after doing college and following that formula, go to school, number one, get a job, number two, number three, save your money, and then four, retire. I got laid off. There was a wrench was thrown right into the mix, and my wife and I decided, no, this is wrong. Something's wrong with this formula. Maybe that used to work back in the day, back in my grandparents' days when the companies would take care of you with pensions and all that kind of stuff. But that doesn't happen anymore, right? So we decided that we had to take control, a little bit more control of our own destiny from the financial side. And we started this company called Constant Spring, which is actually the name of a town in Jamaica, Constant Spring, actually. And we just like the name.
Yeah.
So we started this company called Constant Spring, and what we do is we help individuals and businesses with their finances. Simply put.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have different aspects of it. If you want me to go through that, I can. But
so no, you focus on on some of the financial aspects of it within, I think you said real estate, some other things, and your wife focused on more of the small business, doing accounting stuff, helping people form LLCs, just really kind of any small thing that needs to be done for a small business. Is that right?
Right, correct. She, first of all, my wife does, she has an HR background. She worked for many years at a company in Dallas doing HR. And actually before that, she was doing accounting and HR together in that same company. It was a startup. So she did accounting and HR together.
Right.
And then as the company grew, she kind of had to make a choice. So she kind of went the HR route. So with that experience, we decided to bring that under the Constant Spring umbrella as a service to small businesses and to individuals too, because individuals they start small businesses, right? They have S corps and sole proprietorships and things. So some of these principles and strategies can be applied there as well.
Yeah.
And then on one of the other things that we do in the under Constant Spring is financial consulting. So that's generally where I come in. My wife Stephanie does some of that as well. But the whole idea is to help individuals with their finances, just having enough to support your lifestyle. And it starts with taking care of what you have right now. Yes, you might have a job and all that. We tell people, give thanks for the job. Don't go quit your job. Keep it, because that's income right there. But you need to be able to save enough and invest enough while you have that income stream for the future.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just practical stuff.
What would you say is the biggest advantages to you for having, so you have a full-time job and then you have your business as well. What's the advantage of doing that? Like what prompted you? I mean, I know that you you were working for Verizon and that job got cut. And so you wanted to have, but what are some other advantages to having a side hustle kind of thing?
Right. So one of the first things that a mentor of mine told me when I got laid off, and just to mention, my wife Stephanie was actually expecting our first daughter.
Okay.
She was pretty far along the pregnancy too.
Yeah.
So So it was kind of traumatic, actually.
That's a scary time. You're
Very,
pregnant and then you lose your job. Oh my gosh. Like,
absolutely
no.
scary. But one of my mentors told me that, and he was a financial guru. He is actually. He said, "Look at your taxes." He says that's one of the biggest areas that if you're not careful, you'll lose a lot. So the whole idea of having a side hustle gave me immediate tax advantages. And we rode that horse. We just rode that pony till today. The amount of money that we have saved and been able to reinvest in real estate and other areas and mutual funds and stocks and bonds and all that came from not giving away unnecessarily to the government, right? Tax strategies, just because you have a business and you try to make a profit. So that's one huge piece.
Right. And tax advantages. My students, we've talked about this a little bit, to lower your taxable income, to try to have write-offs. What kind of write-offs do you have within your business that give you a tax advantage?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big ones is mileage. So especially living here in Texas, you pretty much drive everywhere, right? You don't just walk to Walmart, you drive there. But some of the advantages you have is driving from point A to point B in your car. Excuse me. If you intend to make a profit in your business, and basically, if you intend to make a profit, generally speaking, you can deduct what they call you can take a tax deduction, which basically is every dollar that you spend on your business with the intent to make a profit, you don't have to pay taxes on that dollar. Right. So that's savings right there.
Yeah.
And a quick tip for folks is that sometimes we think that if you don't work for money, it's not the same.
Right.
But if you get money through the back door, it's like different money. No, a dollar is a dollar.
Yeah,
so
it's all green.
It's all green. If you can save money from paying less taxes, that is huge. Go get it. And that's what we do.
So are you telling me that your job that you work right now at Vizient, the amount of things that you can deduct are far less than the amount of things you can deduct having a small business?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an order. And real quickly, when you work for a company like just a typical W-4 company, like where 80% of Americans work, you work hard, you earn cash, you pay taxes on it, and then you get to spend what's left.
Right.
Okay. When you have a business of your own and you structure it right, you work hard, you spend as much of it as you can, and then if there's any left, then you pay taxes.
Right.
So the order has switched around a little bit. And I implore people to get your job, but you got to have some tax advantages. And the easy way is to have what we call a side hustle.
And for us, we're going to be reading a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad in the spring. And I have on my wall over there, I know you can't see it here, but we have the financial strategy of a rich person and the financial strategy of a poor person. And, the money that goes through your taxations first before it comes to you is typically our middle and our lower class. And then our upper class is working with kind of a different set of rules. It feels like being able to write off as many things. I mean, I talk all the time about the write-offs that I have within my business of sports camps. I mean, my phone is a huge write-off. I mean, that's a big part of my business. And I have a spot in my house that's a dedicated office. I have accountant. I have, I'm just like, I go down a list of like how many things I could possibly write off. And it's such an advantage, but a lot of people they want to work 9 to 5. They want to go home, and then they wonder why they're not getting ahead, especially in like 2020. Where a lot of people were out of work. And, we, at the beginning of the semester, I drew that circle. There's Mr. Simpson and his family in the middle. And here are, several different streams of income that are going to support. Now, one of the things that, I wanted to ask you about, and I know you do some financial helping with people, but, maybe not in your wheelhouse of specifically dealing with managing your own mutual fund or anything like that, but you recommend mutual funds to people, or you recommend diversified funds. And why is a mutual fund a good place for somebody, like Mr. Simpson here, who's just trying to put his money somewhere where you feel like, I'm 46, I got 20 years till I retire. I technically retire or whatever. And I just wanted to grow somewhere. Why are mutual funds so good for that?
Yeah, mutual funds are a good vehicle, I think, especially for people like us who are busy,
Yeah.
because you get to use the expertise and skill and technology of somebody else,
Yeah.
which is typically what you call a mutual fund manager, a portfolio manager.
Yeah.
Somebody who is trained can manage your money for you. So it's basically a way to pool your money with many other people just like me and you,
Yeah.
and participate in an investment called mutual funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to leverage the skill of those people who are trained
Yeah. But
and have
even
time.
and even as a strategy, mutual funds are diversified because there's so many corporations that are going into it, whatever. But even then, you still don't want to put all your money only into mutual funds. And it sounds like you recommend real estate, you recommend some other things. I mean, my wife and I have 3 rental properties that we've paid off, and we get that passive income every month. And those rents have just been going through the roof. I mean, the last property I had available on August 1st, I put it on Facebook only, and I had 341 inquiries within 48 hours of it going on the market, which made me think, man, maybe I really underpriced this thing. But the great thing is that the values of real estate typically go up. The rents typically go up. Now the taxes go up, insurance goes up as well, but those are all things I can write off to. But diversification strategy, if someone's sitting in your office, if someone's talking to you about financial needs, what is the strategy that you would probably recommend to them?
Yeah. So as I was telling you earlier, a lot of what I do is for practical, is practical for folks who have regular jobs, 9 to 5. It's of course there are different levels of investing,
Yeah.
right? You have the level that we're talking about here, and then you have
Right.
way up levels. Okay.
Yeah.
I decided, my wife and I decided to come in where we can affect more folks,
Right.
the masses. Okay. And from a diversification standpoint, I really do believe that mutual funds, from a diversification, mutual fund is one of the best ways to do that, because the mere essence of the fund itself is created by other investments,
Yeah.
like, you have bond funds, and you have, funds with different stocks in there. You might have up to 100 or more individual stocks within one fund. So that in itself is diversification. And obviously, if one of those companies is not doing well, then the others would kind of help to bring it up a little bit, right? So it helps to balance it that way. Of course, there are other things that you mentioned, like real estate. We have properties as well.
Hmm.
And that's one of our passions for the family, actually. Just last night, my daughter Natasha was saying, "Hey, you finished working yet? I want to show you some of the hardware that we want to put in our rental property that we're actually rebuilding as we speak."
Yeah.
In Fort Worth. Just
Wow.
my 2 daughters are very passionate about this thing.
Good.
And one of the things that I think attributed to that is the fact that from they were born, we kind of started that. All
Yeah.
right. And they kind of saw us doing this. And a big part of what a big part of our goal is to teach our kids. And
Right.
we didn't hesitate to teach them stuff from way back. So yeah, real estate is one way to diversify, which is what we do. And Natasha and I, we play around in the stock market as well. So
And
that's
that's,
diversification.
and by the way, that's been a topic we've talked about a lot in class. At what age do you start talking to your kids about this? At what age do you start? I mean, I have 4 kids, and really 3 of them are quasi interested, and one of them is like very interested. And he constantly asks me questions about, different things that we're putting our money into or whatever, or we go to the rental property to drop something off. And he's like, who are those people living in the house? It's like, well, they rent from us. And,
Right.
like, well, why don't they just go buy a house? And you're trying to explain the economic systems of like, well, the market's exceeded some people's ability to buy, their credit rating, all these kinds of things we're talking about, and they are like, well, what's a credit rating? It's like
Exactly.
these wormholes we kind of go down, which are great. And then I try to draw back from what we talked about as well. But a lot of my friends are the same way. I mean, we sit around our baseball games and talk about, I try to get around people who I feel like from a financial standpoint are going to be good models for me, and maybe what they're doing with their kids. They've opened up a Schwab account and they're letting their kids, dabble around with some stuff there. Man, that's fantastic. Don't you? I mean,
Yeah.
at what age do you think is probably the right age, or is there even an age to put a number on?
I don't think there's a age. I mean, as long as you can have a conversation with your kid, then you just incorporate these things organically,
Yeah.
in your day-to-day conversation. There's no age really. I say, as long as you can have conversation with your kids,
Yeah.
then it's on.
Right.
Yeah.
So have you ever looked at mutual fund prospectus? It's funny. Like, I mean, I get these emails from these different funds that I have my money in, and they send me prospectus. They send me like stock information or whatever, like what's happened at the recent board meetings or whatever. Have you ever sat down and read a mutual fund prospectus? Is that something that financial people do?
Well, as I said before, there are different levels
Yeah.
of investing and all that. At my level, I can tell you honestly, I've never read cover to cover any prospectus. I've typically thumbed through it. I remember reading and seeing probably a little picture of the fund manager inside of a couple of the prospectuses that I've gotten.
Mm.
I remember getting prospectuses from T. Rowe Price,
Yeah.
the money management company.
Right.
They're the ones that we've used from way back. T. Rowe Price are pretty good. But yeah, no, I've never really read it from cover to cover. I've just kind of thumbed through and look at different things, strategies, and what's incorporated. What are the elements of the fund and all that.
So,
But yeah.
do families come to see you for financial help when they are when they have money ready to invest, or do they come to you when they are maybe in debt? Or what's your average person? How are they approaching you? How do they find out
Yes,
about you too?
yes, that's a great question. I believe that um, the financial institution the financial institution will have you believe that you need to go to them, right,
Yeah.
to put your financial house in order.
Right.
But the market is wide open for anybody to partake in it,
Right.
right? So as long as you have it's a little bit of education and you have some goals and you have some money, then you
Yeah.
can invest. Now, when they come to me, typically they don't have any money. That's why they came to me.
Okay.
If you go to a typical financial planner,
Yeah.
they'll be like, okay, it's okay. Let's give me the money that you have so we can start investing. And you'll be like, well, I don't have any money. That's why I came to you.
Right.
So no, they typically don't have money. And what we do, we help them to create some cash flow so
Mm.
that they can now use that wisely. And some of the areas that we'll hit definitely is fixing your credit, making sure that you're not spending extra money. So that's new money. Lowering the amount of taxes that you pay.
Yeah.
Again, that's extra money. And if you have a side hustle, obviously then you're trying to make a profit there as well. So that's extra money.
Yeah.
And then one of the big ones that people don't think about is your what you call your withholding. And if you have a job, a W-2 job, then they'll give you a W-4.
Mm.
And that's probably another technical thing. I don't know if your students will learn about that yet, but the W-4 is one area that people mess up
Yeah.
because they overpay every paycheck. When you look at your paycheck, you see how much the government took from it. And it's
Yeah.
because your W-4 is not not set up correctly.
Right.
So you lose the earning potential
Yeah.
that those dollars would have had if you invested it instead of giving it to the government to hold for you just because you want a big refund.
Yeah.
So these are some of the strategies that we help people with, right out the gate.
Yeah.
Get these things in order, and that will give you new cash. So now you can start investing.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
you do you advise them to start investing if they have outstanding debt, like if they have like credit card debt or anything, or what's your strategy there? We to me, we talk about a lot of different financial people and their strategies. Dave Ramsey versus Robert Kiyosaki versus Millionaire Next Door, all of the stuff that we're looking at here, and there's no right or wrong answer. It's an interesting look at how everybody sort of approaches this situation. And I like to hear, to me, whenever I would talk to my debate students, and they were going to be going to vote, I would tell them, I don't care if you vote Republican, I don't care if you vote Democrat. I just want you to be educated. I just want you to have a reason for why you're pulling the lever for a certain person. I think the same way in investing. You may think this is the right strategy or that's the right strategy, but you have a strategy, or like you've thought about this. There's been some planning in place.
Yeah. So as it relates to Dave Ramsey, he has this method of what you call that the snowball,
Yeah.
where you start with getting cash. I like that strategy as well, and I practice it. But we modify it slightly because Dave Ramsey doesn't talk a lot about the tax standpoint.
Right.
But we definitely, that's one of our first things that we'll put in there, because
Yeah.
that's easy money. That
Yeah.
is easy money. And as long as you stay within the bounds of the law,
Is that
then
hard for people though? I mean, you would help them, you help advise them and say, pay this credit card off, and they pay it off. Do they ever come back and be like, I got a credit card and I've run it up again? I mean, it's so easy. It's so dangerous. It's like, it's such a simple, like, people just have to, maintain discipline. And it's so hard in the day-to-day life to go home and make peanut butter and jelly instead of going out for dinner for $50. It's
that's
like
true.
all these little decisions that we have.
That's true. A lot of this is such a mindset thing,
Yeah.
because this thing up in here will only take you so far.
Right.
Right. So you're absolutely right. A lot of it is just constantly, okay, you didn't do it last year. Okay, come back in. We still love you. Let's try it again. You know what I mean? A
Right.
lot of it is just encouraging and keeping. If it's somebody that I really care about, I'm gonna be on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna be on him. I'm gonna be like, come on.
Yeah. And that's
We know it's
important to
hard,
have
but we
somebody to
got
be
to do it.
accountable to, have an accountability partner to some degree. Cause it's like, I don't want to be accountable to my friend. I don't want to show him my credit card statement. I don't, it's like, here's a guy that's, I'm going to be accountable to you. And here's, you're kind of my therapist for finances. Like, help me understand what I need to do here. Now we have a couple things in our class that we debate a lot about, what's the right financial, and by the way, I ask a lot of people this, what do you think is a better for a person buying a house? Do you think a 15-year mortgage is better, or do you think a 30-year mortgage is better? What's your opinion?
Yeah, we actually have done. I know way back in the day, we actually did one of our properties with two. So we did a 15-year and a 30-year on the one property.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we actually did that. What's my opinion on that? I'd like to have I want to have my houses paid off.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, where I lay my head at night needs to be mine. I don't want, you know what I mean? I don't want any risks. I'm kind of risk averse in that
Me too.
manner, so the quickest way to do that is the best for me. So, obviously, it's going to depend on what you think is a good interest rate and all that. So 30-year versus 15. But one will get you there faster than the other.
Right.
I don't know. If I can invest, if I can buy a property in a 30-year, then I'll probably do that because the rates might be more favorable. And because I have other strategies, I could probably use some of those dollars to pay it off even faster.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I would probably lean to the 30-year.
Yeah.
And then use other strategies to hit it You know, as long as we're not going to get penalized for early payments, you know, we
Right.
can still pay it off early and still kind of win, you
Yeah.
know?
I send any early payments in on my own home where I live in now. And it's like, I, I, I know that financial people probably don't care one way or another, but I feel like I'm kind of hitting them when I'm like, here's $2,000. And they're just like, okay, whatever. Like, but for me, I feel like I'm really, I'm coming at them.
Yeah.
So is there ever a situation where you feel like a credit card is good for somebody? Do you feel like maybe the rewards stuff? I mean, Dave Ramsey talks so much about the dangers of credit card, and don't go into that with like, mileage or any kind of gamification that comes with it. But there are people who can make it work for them. Do you ever feel like there's a reason for that, or do you feel like do not do credit cards no matter what?
Yeah, we live in a society where credit is a big thing. I mean, if your credit is not, if you don't have good credit, there's some jobs that you can't even get
Yeah.
because the employer like, I can't trust you with my stuff if you can't keep your money, your finances in order.
Right.
So
We've talked about that too. That was a heated debate in all my classes as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So because credit is such a huge thing, I think credit cards can be a tool
Yeah.
that individuals can use, and it might not be for everybody. Some people might just not be able to have any control at all. Then I'll be like,
Right.
Stay away from it, or maybe get a different type, a secured credit card, or where there's some kind of boundaries on it, so you can't really get yourself in trouble. So you have those kind of cards as well. But in general, I think it can be used as a tool.
Yeah.
There's cash available for you to use. If your rates are good, if your interest rates are good on the credit card,
Yeah.
and good is relative, obviously, but if your rates are lower than the norm, then you could probably use some of those dollars to help you with other things that will, give you even better rates. Take some of that cash and invest it in something, whatever.
Right.
Buy some, and then maybe the math will work out for you, where your investing is going to give you better returns than the credit card is taking from you.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's net. What's your net advantage having a credit card, or as opposed to not,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, Drew, man, I appreciate you so much. This has been fantastic. This has been great. I mean, look into, keep your day job, have your side hustle, maximize your taxes, diversify. I mean, this is great stuff for a 16-year-old sitting in my class to hear, because I never heard it, and I didn't hear it in college, and nobody got a hold of me till I was 24 years old, and I already had credit card problems and leased a car and done some things where I was a mess. And thankfully I was able to straighten it out. And I really feel like this is good for the kids. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Absolutely. You're most welcome.